Hi, welcome back to Assets. Today we're going to talk about melodic sight reading as well as intervallic relationships. Now, before we do that, I have a little story to tell you. Over here, you'll see a bunch of lines. Back in the early church music history, there was a time when music used to be this number of lines. Let's count how many are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And during that time, music just started off with anywhere, and monks were supposed to just, sing as to what they see. Now, books were very expensive in those days, so everybody would huddle around a book that's about the size of this board, and they would actually sing anything that appears on the lines. So anything from here to that thing. So if you actually see, sometimes notes will appear like a diamond shape, or a square, or sometimes a triangle, in a circle, or whatever. Just an example of notation that used to happen back then. And the monks would actually sing things to like a, le, lu, ya. And the problem with this was that there was no starting point or ending point on the ledger lines of these 11 lines. And it made it very difficult for monks to actually start together and end together. Imagine a group of them huddling around this very, very big hymn book. And there were things like, Alleluia, or, like, Alleluia. There was no starting or ending point. And that made it very difficult and, of course, very, very unattractive to hear church music back in those days. Along came a man named Guido. Guido saw the difficulty in reading music that had so many lines. He pondered and pondered and pondered and thought, what if we found the middle of these 11 lines and took it away? And so he counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he said that this would be the imaginary 6th line. So when Guido took away the 6th line, lo and behold, there were 5 lines each. And the imaginary 6th line appeared in the note itself that looked like this. This was then known as the middle note. Somewhere along the way, someone else came and started to put alphabets to these names. So this was then known as middle C. Anything above middle C involved the treble clef. Anything below the middle C would then involve the bass clef. So now it was easier to read notes. Anything above middle C would then be named middle C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. These notes are all absolute in their names and will forever and evermore look like this. So it's like someone who has a friend. He recognizes the friend because of what he or she looks like, and likewise with these musical notes, this is what they will look like forever. This is going up, so this is the treble clef. Below would be the bass clef, where notes are, starting from middle C again, going downwards. Where this will be B, A, G, F, E, D, C. For this portion of assets, it is very important that you pay close attention to what's going to happen. Melody is made up of a combination of intervals. Over here we have a melodic scale, and all these notes are actually intervals. There are two types of intervals. One is known as perfect interval, and the other could be major or minor intervals. For the purpose of today's lesson, we're going to just focus on perfect and major intervals. The perfect interval is an interval that is neither major nor minor. There are three perfect intervals within a melodic scale. From tonic itself, the most obvious one would be at the very end. It's known as the perfect eighth, also known as the octave. Perfect can also be symbolized by the letter P. And the fourth and the fifth notes of the melodic scale are also perfect. How do we calculate that? By taking tonic as 1, we count 1, 2, 3, 4. A perfect fourth. And next to it is the perfect fifth. Everything else will become major intervals. So from here to here is known as a major second, then a major third, a major sixth, and finally a major seventh. Looking at it is one thing. To be able to sing it would be another. But how do we do that? By the use of solfege. Solfege is a system that allows you to be able to pitch and to be able to recognize right away what the pitch sounds like by using certain syllables to help you remember. The famous one would be from The Sound of Music, where we went Do, a deer, a female deer, Ray, a drop of golden sun, me, a name I call myself, far, a long, long way to run, so on and so forth. So when we see a scale, immediately we think of tonic as Do. And then everything else follows. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. And how do we know that Do and Do are aligned? Because if this is middle C, the octave or the perfect eighth is also a C. So Do and Do, C and C, they match. Even on the keyboard. Do, and if you count 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, notice this is C, and this is also C. So, it matches. Do and Do. So if you go to Re, which is a major second, it's actually the next note. Notice Do, Re, the distance being a major second. Do, Re, and then to get to the major third, I count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do, Re, Mi, Do, Mi. To get to the perfect fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or Do, Fa, and so on and so forth. So, the way to be able to recognize your intervals is to sing them in solfege and to remember what solfege belongs to what interval. For instance, if I sing this as tonic, do, and I sing you another tune or another note, it goes what note was that? So in your head you gotta count do, and from there you scale it up. So we know that is a sol. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. A perfect fifth. Let's try another one. This is do. What about this note? So in your head you gotta count do, re, so we know it's a T. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. And you resolve it to do or do. Pitch memory is important. This will not be useful if your tonic note wavers all over the place, which I've seen in certain cases where people, when I tell them to sing do, they'll tell them do, 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 and they cannot get back to do, the actual do, which is this one. So you have to always remember where your tonic note is and be able to then find the interval that's required of you. This will be important when we start to sight read music. For intervals, to practice our pitching, it is very good if we actually establish do. We're starting with the C scale, so do will be C. And let's try to practice this together. Do, re, do, mi, do, fa, do, sol.